Hey everyone here. Wanted to mention a few things real quick and then share with you my TNT phase, the training phase of my time at Prime after the orientation and going through the PSD as an experienced driver. Want to just mention a couple of things real quick. One of the things is that, with a lot of these trucking companies, especially that will train you to get your CDL, will help drivers to get started, get on the road, you have all kinds of people that come to orientation. And the majority of them are not going to stay for various reasons. Even though recruiters might make it clear, do a background check, so many different things. They do drug tests, they do pre-employment screening, things like that. There's still people that end up in the hotels for a night or two that can be shady characters. And so there's a screening process that's going on all the way around that is much more in-depth with any company that you go through. So having that understanding, how trucking is, how even some of the orientation rates are, is important to understand. A lot of people may not be aware of that. Basically, when you go into any trucking company, you need to check your ego at the door. Even as an experienced driver, doesn't matter how many miles you have, how many years that you've been on the road, whether you can drive a manual, you got a big stick, you're one of those Peterbilt fans, Kenworth fans, whatever it is, you got to check your ego at the door. I saw guys even during orientation, there were big mouths, they were clowning around, it was, trying to whatever. One guy was trying to get with a girl he had met at the Greyhound station. I don't know if he's still with the company or not, but I can just tell you right now, there's certain things it's wise not to be doing. There should be some common sense when it comes to any job and any interview process. And, if you got a big ego, you're probably not going to make it with Prime or any other company for that matter. That's what it comes down to. Just going to go ahead and tell you. With once again, as I shared in my first video, you may not have seen it or not, I came to Prime as an experienced driver with about 5 years, both over the road and local. I did flatbedding before, and I wanted to get into reefer, learn a little bit about this division. And so, since I had taken about 5 years off, they required me to come in and do a refresher course, and I shared all that in another video, so I'm not going to really go into that process. But basically, once I completed that, I stayed at the hotel there in Piston, and was waiting on a trainer. And once you do complete that phase, you do start getting paid. You get paid a little bit more to stay at the terminal than to go home, but you can go home during that period. But I received a phone call from a dispatcher who informed me that he had a trainer that was there at Piston. He told me the guy was from North Carolina. I don't know if it was a mix-up or not, because the guy ended up being from Nashville, Tennessee, like 6-7 hours from where I live. But that's okay. We're checking our ego at the door, and we go with the punches and understand that you got to work with your trainer. And so I met a young guy, his name is Zach. He actually called me later that day, and I met him at the terminal, and got some food from Walmart, and got a few things, and I actually moved everything out of the hotel, and ended up he put me in the bunk there in the terminal for that night, so I had a place to stay. And then from there we hit the road, and we hit it pretty hard. I did take a few days home. This was back, my official hire day was October 13th, and so of 2025. And so I did take a couple of days home, had some things I needed to do. One of the things was to pick up my license. I got a tanker endorsement before I headed to Prime The recruiter asked me to get that at some point, so I went ahead and got that endorsement literally like the day before I got on the Greyhound to head there. Anyway, so I did get dropped off by the house after being out for a few days. I guess that was the beginning. It was like the end of October. We did take a little bit of home time, but for the most part, we stayed out. I did also have to get routed back to the terminal after a couple of weeks or so for my sleep apnea appointment. Had to spend the night at the sleep study center right there at the terminal. And the doctor that was over the Zoom decided that I have very, very minor sleep apnea, and so they sent me back to the DOT for a DOT physical. Got me a 3-month physical, and also gave me a $1,700. It's actually an APAP machine, but basically like a CPAP, depending on what you are familiar with, and it's basically a little more adjustable. It will go up and down as you need it. So they gave me that, and so I'm making $100 payments. Like started pretty quick after that, like the week or two before, after I got that CPAP. So I'm still making payments on that. And just want to let you know there are some payments, some things that will come out of your check. Basically, and this may change at any time, but during my time, again, I'm just expressing these are my opinions. This is my experience. This is how it went down. So anything I say at this video is not official information. It's my opinion and what happened for me. So basically, once you get with a trainer, basically, you basically make $900 a week, but that is not take-home pay, and that's where a lot of people get confused. If you can, before you go to Prime or any trucking company, understand you're not going to make a lot of money during the training process, no matter what you do. So I would, if you could, put some money away, try to save, and just try to budget and do the best you can, because it's going to be a little hard, and there's going to be stuff you're going to have to buy. So basically, I had $100 a week coming out of my check, so that knocks it down to like $800 after taxes, and paying back that $200 advance that they give you during your pad time. There, just after orientation, you're paying that like $20 a week back. So long story short, your take-home pay is going to average more like $500 a week that actually hits your bank account after taxes, after any kind of fees like that. And it may be different for you. There may be more or less. In addition, just keep in mind that if you go and buy your medical insurance through them, you're not going to be seeing much of a check coming home at all. They have some pretty good deals on the insurance, but I already had insurance that I already had signed up for through Marketplace that is quite a bit cheaper than what Prime had to offer. So I ended up declining most of the insurance. I got a couple of things I did sign up for. But for the most part, my goal has been to bring as much home so I can pay off some debts as possible. And so I declined it. So just be aware of that. If you're signing up for the full, 25 kids and 5 baby mama plans, you ain't going to see anything coming home. And you're going to be wondering why your checks are so small. So just be aware of that. That is something with any company when you're going into, just to understand if you're giving all the money away, none of it's going to come home. If you're buying stuff, things like that. So, like I say, check your ego at the door. And so, I got with my trainer, and both of us previously had experienced bad trainers and having to get a new trainer. And so, you know, we both were committed, and I really liked what my trainer Zach said. He said, you know, everything can be worked out except for like two things. And what is like absolute disrespect. No disrespect, you're not listening, you're nothing like that. You know, at some point you could get thrown off the truck by your trainer because of you know, again, it's a big ego, you know, and we have two people that are sharing a very small space that are coming from different walks of life, have different opinions, going to have some disagreements. So what we both did is really just kept to ourselves. At first, he had to watch me, you know, of course, he had to learn to trust me, that I can drive. I ended up doing a lot of night driving. And he did a lot of the day driving. It just depended on our routes, what we had going on. But we just, you know, and once we got it to where we could really team, and once he got where he could just go to sleep, I could drive, and then I'd go to sleep. Like, we really started covering the U.S., going back and forth. And then we started seeing a little larger checks come in, where because of the mileage, you do get some of that team pay, even as a student. So your check might be a little larger, but because of my CPAP and all that, I really never had anything over like maybe $700-800 actually went into my bank account after taxes and fees and everything like that during the training process. So we made it work. We did a lot of like flower loads. There's a lot of different things like that. It was an interesting experience. There's a lot of states I'd never driven in, even in a car, like Wyoming, and it was pretty scary having such a light load like flowers bouncing around the road with those 50-hour winds about to blow you over and stuff like that. So, but, you know, the biggest part, like I say, was really just checking your ego at the door. And there were days, man, I wanted to blow up at my trainer. I felt like every day he had something he's telling me, slow down, be safe, like always telling me something. And at the end of the day, I had to realize he's my trainer. This is his truck. He was a lease driver. Both of my trainers were lease drivers. I am company. Yeah, that happened. So, you know, I had to realize it's his truck, his rules. And, I mean, he wanted that truck spotless, very, very clean. You know, you take your shoes off as soon as you get in. Don't track any dirt toward the back of the truck. And, you know, it's not, it was some good things, because I've tried to practice that a little bit since I got in my truck, to try to keep it, you know, a little bit cleaner, and just, you know, take care of it. So, it definitely was a learning experience. I had to learn how to properly drive a manual transmission. In the Freightliner Cascadia, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, the old timers are like, you know, man, anybody can drive a truck now with an automatic. Not necessarily. I actually disagree. As an experienced driver, as someone who did start out in a manual transmission, you know, if you're not properly learning how to shift down with a manual or with an automatic transmission, if you're not using your Jake brake properly, to downshift and things like that, it's actually a lot of work to use your Jake brakes on and off and adjusting it and keeping your speed and trying to maintain, you know, maintain about 58 to 60 miles an hour is typically what my trainer wanted me to do. So that's what I did for him. And so to the best of my ability, but anyway, you know, my biggest goal was to get into my own truck, and I had to do 30,000 miles is what my allotment was, since it had been a while since I had been in a truck. The company asked me to, for insurance purposes and everything, to do 30,000 miles with the trainer. So we ended up knocking that out and completing it, and it was about December, what was the date? I don't know. It was near the end of December, where they're like, you know, you got your 30,000 done. And I had the option to go to upgrade class and then go back with my trainer, you know, for the next, could be the rest of the winter, and we could team. And we could have done that. But I was reaching to the point, man, it was hard. My body was hurting. bouncing around in that sleeper. Like, it's hard to sleep sometimes, especially between the bumps and between, I don't know if it's the suspension in these Freightliners. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in a sleeper berth with another driver driving, but my body, I was banging against that back wall, and I was like, I've got to get out of here and in my own truck. I'm done. So I chose to upgrade, and as a result, they wouldn't let me go home for Christmas or New Year's because they told me that when I get in my own truck, I would have to stay out for the next 3 weeks. So that's a period of time that basically I've been in. We did get a bonus for running through Christmas and New Year's. It's going to be in the check tomorrow. So I'm extremely grateful for that. I actually was supposed to be headed home this weekend, and right now I'm stuck in Kansas. I ran out of hours. Now I'm headed to Springfield, to the terminal there for the first time. So it's going to be an interesting experience. I have headed alert on my trailer, so got to get in there to check that, and some other things I'm going to take care of while I'm at the terminal this weekend as well. But the load I'm on is actually supposed to be in South Carolina tomorrow by like midnight, but it's definitely not going to make it by then. So hopefully everything's good with that. But so anyway, we made it work. We got it done. We reached the level of being able to just work together, keep to ourselves, don't discuss politics, don't discuss religion, don't get into each other's families too much. I mean, you'll learn a little bit. You're going to hear phone conversations, but it's some people don't make it out here. We had a trainer and a trainee. We had to help repower their load because they got in a confrontation, and the trainee was taken off the truck, and so we had to meet the trainer. He was out of hours and couldn't make it, and since we were teaming, we took it the rest of the way. So it happens, but one of the worst things you can do as an experienced driver is coming in here, or even if you don't have experience, but you're like, I can drive a car, I'm safe, is shut up and listen. Don't be big, I know how to drive, Just drop all that and listen and learn how to be a safe driver. And, like I said, it's going to be a challenges. I know a common conversation is showers. Yeah, there's some trainers that may not take showers that often. I mean, it's hard out here, especially when you're doing solo work, I don't have rewards points or showers at every single truck stop. Like, for instance, I have TAs and Flying J's right now because that's where I've been fueling up. But I don't have any Love's points. So right now I'm actually at a Love's Travel Center here in Kansas, and they don't have showers here anyway. But if they did, I don't have enough points to get a shower. So, understanding that. But in my trainer's case, we try to get a shower every single day if we could. We average probably about every 3 days. And between one of us, like during my shift, I would drive, I'd go take my 30-minute break and go take a shower during that period of time. I'd grab my trainer's card and go swipe a shower. It's just making it work and understanding you're not going to be forever with your trainer. Some people really, really hit it off, and us, we make it work, and just understanding and making it through that period of time. Real quickly, I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a separate video on upgrades or not, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just quickly discuss the upgrade process and what I experienced. I was routed back to the piston terminal. And so that's where I picked up my truck that I'm currently in right now. And it was it worked out really, really well because I ended up coming into piston on Wednesday night. And I was able to get into a hotel that afternoon and get a good rest, good rest, which I was glad because I was driving a lot of nights. I actually slept and got over to the terminal, and I had a safety class to attend. I had a maintenance class to attend, and it was fortunate because that maintenance class only is held on Thursdays at Piston. I don't know exactly what they do if you are there on another day. If you watch a video, or if you have to just wait till you get to that class, or if you do it another time. Like I say, I'm not sure how that works, but I was fortunate because it was there, and I went to it. I had to pass the simulator backing test. It was a bit challenging, a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. And once I was cleared, they told me to go find my truck, and so it ended up being at the training pad. I went through a detailed inspection, marked everything I could find wrong with it, got my tablet, for my logs and all that, and checked out of the hotel. And the thing I want to tell you that is important to understand, I went company. And the reason why I went company is twofold. One, I was listening. And they will push you. They will push you. They will be like used car salesmen of, oh, you're not very smart if you're going company. You're not going to make that much money. My recruiter, and you can find a YouTube video of my recruiter actually being called on the phone. Literally, my recruiter said that if you go company, you will average $1,260 per week before taxes. If you go lease, you will average $1,360 before taxes after all expenses are paid. Now, it depends who you talk to, but these lease drivers are paying for the fuel, they are paying for the tires, they're paying for everything. In fact, it's my understanding, from what I understand, that you will actually be charged for, if you continue to team, you end up paying for the insurance of the person you're teaming with. So just keep that in mind. And every lease driver that I talked to did not have any money in savings, was really barely making, and was having to train. I had one lease driver actually tell me that she said, it's good you're going company, especially right now the way freight is. She said, it's not how it used to be. That was her pew, that was her opinion. But the other thing with me is I don't want to get more debt. I didn't want to take out another loan to pay for a truck and all that. I just want the company to take care of all that. But real quick, that you do need to know that even as a company driver, you're going to be spending about $700 on equipment. So you got to buy chains, you got to buy low locks, you got to buy the trailer locks, you got to buy a lock for your low locks to go on the back. You also will need a detention stamp right here. This is about $20 right there. You're going to need some other tools and some other stuff, but those are the basics. So expect to have about $700 taken out. Like, I'm making payments right now, it's about $20 a week, but basically my first paycheck when I got in my truck, all of that went towards expenses. I basically got no paycheck that first day. So first week, I mean, I did get paid, but because of all the expenses, there was no take-home pay. And that's a little disappointing if you don't know and aren't prepared for that to happen. And we're in the winter period. I have to have chains. I have to have low locks. I have to have trailer locks. You can't just not buy this stuff. So be looking at, when you upgrade to that truck, you're going to be spending a good $700, even as a company driver, in the stuff you need. And that's reefer division. If you're flatbed, you're buying all the tarps and the straps. If you're tanker, apparently it's seals, hoses. I'm not sure exactly what that deal is, but just be aware that comes out of your pocket even as a company driver. So again, I hope this helps. I'm going to put my driver code in the comments if you would like to use that on your application process to help push you along. Feel free to use it. There's a lot of really great things about Prime. They're very, very organized when it comes to like the orientation, the computer based testings. I did have to do a lot of those, by the way, when I upgraded. A lot of them were ones I'd already done during orientation. It's just how it is. It's about 48 or something like that, maybe 50 computer-based trainings I had to do to upgrade. Just part of the process. So anyway, you know, keep it between the mustard and the mayonnaise. Be safe. Like and share if you feel you would like to. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.